Alrighty, folks. Well, welcome to another webinar from ATG USA. I am your host, Zachery Rico, and let's go ahead and get started. First things first, happy Halloween. A little bit about myself. I'm a technical specialist here over at ATG, and we're going to really dive in deep on better managing Hive to basically have it perform and operate best for not only our company, but for our users to make everything a lot easier so we don't have those problems and complications of users not finding that information that they need for their projects. So let's go ahead, get started here. First thing I want to talk about here is just the agenda that we're looking at right now. So this is roughly going to be about 30, 60 minutes long. We're going to go in and set up some libraries, more specifically for disciplines in different fields. We're going to control what content is available. We're going to look in and to see what our users can look at and see and have that ability to do. Then we're also going to have being able to control what the users are most definitely going to see, who's going to see what and who's not, what areas they're going to be in, what role they play, basically, and go through it like that. And we're also going to basically set up a way to receive better feedback on which content needs to be addressed, whether it be just a Revit family or something out of the box differently. So, and then after that, we'll go ahead and get into any specific questions, go from there, take a more deeper dive, and just really set this all up. First thing I want to get into is just Hive itself. On this basis, we always want to remember that Hive is not just Revit content. It holds a lot more. It holds from visualization to PDFs to Word documents, different things like that. So we can really see what Hive has that capability. And it's not only just for, Revit users. It could be for other CAD users. It could be for your sales team. It could be for your marketing team. It could be just for people in HR. There's a wide variety that we can easily use in this scenario. And Hive that has that capability. I always compare Hive to a souped up Windows file explorer. It's just awesome, easy to use, and run with it. We also know that Hive just doesn't also hold one specific content. But when it comes to Revit, we always want to load that content from Revit. It makes it a lot easier, makes us not having errors and questioning what's going on. But on the flip side of that, if we want to add content, and even though we're in Revit, we can add on both sides, no matter if it's a Windows version or the Revit version itself. So we can easily go in and do it that way. And the biggest thing is we want to make it simple for our users. If we can't make it simple for them, then why are we using this tool? What's it going to help? So to go into further, let's actually go in and just run this off. So first things first is there's two versions to it. There's the Windows version as you see in here, and there's also the Revit version that we'll basically get into in a little bit further. I'm just going to go ahead and start opening Hive from my Windows version. Now, when we start to look at this, it's going to be a little different from when we actually open it in Revit. There's a couple different things that I'll explain a little bit on, but for now, we're going to start out not only just opening here, but we're also going to go to users and groups. I want to specifically go to this because this is how we get our users and our groups set up to where we can define who's in what area. So let's go ahead, start there. Immediately when we click on it, we get straight taken to the CTC Hive website. This will show us, hey, here's where we can control everything. This is where we can look at it and go from there. So I'm going to quickly go ahead and sign in real fast here, just to show you how it all starts out. Immediately when we start up, we see these two different versions. We see the PAL and the Hive. We're not going to get the PAL whatsoever in this one. We're just going to straight focus on Hive and how we can make it better for our company. So I'm just going to go ahead here at the top and go to show all users. When we show all these users, this is where we manage who's all in here. We easily start out from 10 and can go higher up, depending on how many users we have. And we have different view pages of amounts of users that we add in, from say 1 to 6 million for whatever big corporation working for like Google or something. We can easily do that. Now, there's a couple ways to add these users specifically. We can do it one by one, or we can do it by a mass majority. Now, when it comes to the mass majority, there is a CVS template that already shows it, but I have a custom one already made and ready to go. I'm easily going to go to my content here and easily pull it up. As I'm pulling this up, this is what we'll see. It immediately starts out with what email, their first and last name, the description of who they are, what Active Directory username they're going to use, and their ID as well. So this is really going to define, okay, this is their email address, this is who they are, this is their name, where they're going to fit in, and how their name is going to be presented. Now it can easily change by however you want to set that up specifically, but this is really an example of how it's going to be. This is just one way to bring it in. From that, we can also import those users from that file that we already have. I'm going to go ahead and just start with one user and bring them in, just to show you guys how it looks. From this one standard user, we're just going to add one person from my company already. Now, I'm going to add Andy to our company here, and he's one of our new people. From this, we can easily know specifically how we want to set this up. We can set up specific time zones if we want. We can even set up into more detail of where they're going to be specifically. I want to start him off as a company admin. I don't always have to do that. I can also set them off to just being a standard user if they're just going to use the content and do nothing else. I'm going to start them off at a company admin just to show, hey, here's what's going on. Now I can easily come back and change that and go in when I do the savings and things like that. I can even set an expiration date for him if he's outside our company and we're just going to bring him in for a little bit for some consulting work, let him use some of our stuff and go in and about that way. I can even set a description for a sales account rep and go in and about that way. I can even set a custom password for him if I really choose to do so. Now, I can set him into a specific group here, if it'll allow me. But I can easily do that later on if we set up a new group here. So I'm just going to go ahead and save him out. It's going to immediately save him into our directory, into our setup, and go about it that way. As that's saving, we can easily see right after what the name is and everything else, and more in details of what's going on here. We can even see even if he is a member of a group, or even sometimes what project they're in, depending on if we want to have that in here. Now, I just want to show some of the groups that we already have currently. Now, these groups are really based on how you want to perceive and present this. There can be a number of ways on how we do it. We can set it easily by project base. If we only want to set it up to where Group A's project is working on only hotels, this is going to be the hotel project. If they are set in a different location where, hey, they're in Seattle, this is our Seattle team, they're going to have access to this different stuff. And we can really define how or what each user is. They don't have to be specified into one specific group. They can be set into many. So that's what's even a better bonus with Hive, because when we add our content and we add our libraries, we can specify what groups or even specific users have that access if we so choose to. When adding our groups, this is really going to define what we do. Here's a list of already who is in our Hive basis. If we want to easily bring them over, all we have to do is select a name and bring them across. We can even filter it down by, hey, I want to search for Zach. Well, there's two Zachs here. Do I want to bring one in or do I want to bring them both in? That's really up to you. We also need to make sure we have a description and name in here so we know later on, why did I create this group? Oh, this is why. This is how it's going to help us out, and go about it that way. Now, this is easily done and can help control everything that we need to. This can satisfy, all right, we're headed in the right direction. Now, this is just a simple way to get everything set up. Now, we have our users, we have our groups. Let's go ahead and set up our libraries and set up everything else. So I'm going to go ahead, close out of this, and immediately click on libraries. I want to do this because starting out, I need to know specifically what basis everything is going to be in. I'm going to go ahead and start a new group here. I'm going to call it Rico's Hotspot, just to start out something crazy. And I want to define it more of only content with Rico in it. Now, I chose my last name specifically because it's a couple different ways to it. I mean, it means rich and delicious and means a couple different things. So it really broadens that aspect, because when we think of libraries, we think of it as just a file cabinet. It's just holding it there. It's just one piece. And then as we open up a specific drawer of that library, those little folders that we usually have in there are going to be our tags, which define our content even more. That's how I like to look at it. That's how I like to see it and go about it that way. Now, we have two ways to bring users in. We can easily add them by selecting which users we want. For instance, Andy here. Or we can invite a user by their specific email address. Like, for instance, when we're bringing that outside person in, we can easily do it that way. Or if we just want to bring in somebody out just right across the hall from us, say, hey, I just want to bring them in on this one to look at it, give some feedback, I can easily put it in and go about it that way. With groups, here's a big thing with groups. We can select one or none. So I'm easily going to go ahead, select one, and go about it that way. Now, here's the big thing that it comes into play. This is as managers or office leaders or different things like that. This is where our power comes in. This is where we can specifically set up users to do what we want them to do. This is where we can have that control of, hey, only certain ones get this, certain ones don't, and go about it that way. Now, when it comes to users, when you just add one user in, they have two roles, either consumer or contributor. Consumer just allows them to use the content and really rate it, give a couple different things of aspects of, hey, this is kind of causing issues, things like that. Contributor can go in more depth and say, okay, yeah, let's tweak some of the stuff in this library. Let's add some things, let's get rid of some things, and do it that way. So there's two real settings that you really have to think of for each person if you're going to do it by user. If you do it by group, this is where it comes into, all right, I have a select few of people that I trust to control things. Now, we also have a third option here of admin. This is where it gets even more important. Your admin is going to have full control of that library along with you, but only for that specific library. These will be the people that, okay, I trust you guys to control this, handle this, while I handle everything else on the other side. They have that ability, but it also comes with a cost of, hey, in the end, I want to make, they've done a good job or they've done a bad job. I got to take that away, make them only a contributor, a consumer, and go about it that way. So we'll go ahead and create this, go in and about it that way, and just go in and have that ability. Now, as the libraries are in, you see it's right here. Now, if I want to go back and edit it or get more details, I have these options up here. Now I can also get rid of it too if it was just a bad mistake, it's not working out or not doing good. So I'm just going to go ahead and click back edit and add myself into this here just to see and go about it that way. Alrighty. But I want to make myself a contributor and be able to look at it and things like that. Now, when we even add people in here, it's immediately going to send them an email saying, hey, you've been added here. Here's access to it. You can easily just open up your Hive or click this link right here and go straight into it. And we can go about it that way, okay? Next thing I want to go through is tags. Tags are, as you see here, it's immediately shown that, hey, I was added to that library that we just went through, okay? Now, with those tags, again, this is what defines us. This is a more in-depth folder. This is more filtered down to where we have our content. Now, we can easily add content here. Well, I mean, tags here to where we specifically give it a name and a description, or when we add content in, we can do it that way as well. There's those options of how we can do it. Now, for instance, I just want to go ahead and add some content now. I want to add it to my specific library. I want to add a couple files in here per se. I just want to add a few images out of my two. I want to add this railing image and I want to add this curtain wall image. Okay, fine. Boom, they're right in there. It gives us the file type, it gives us the path and more information. Now, I want to add a tag to it. There's not really too much I could add to it, maybe arc, but I want to create a new one as well and put that as images. I can easily do that and hit create. It immediately creates it and puts a check mark already by it. So we don't have to worry about clicking on it. We can just let it go and move on. Now, with that all set, just by clicking process, it'll immediately run through it, drag where those two documents are, and pull it right in. Now, I want to show you that example of bringing a Revit file in. Just for complete giggles, I'm going to bring this document in just to go from there. We all know, hey, we can't add it from Windows, but I want to show you that error that shows. As it's loading in and pulling in that template, it's taking a second, processing it through, getting all that data. That data is basically coming off an HTML of what's going on and what it's seeing. So to really define it, it's going to do that. Now, didn't give me an error on this one, but we should all remember and know, don't add Revit content through Windows. Do it straight through Revit. It helps out a lot more. Alrighty. Now I'm just going to show real quickly that, hey, it immediately came in right as fast as we added it. So by going to my libraries, I'm going to go ahead and close Windows, the Windows version of Hive, and open it back up just to get a quick refresh of it and go about it that way. So as soon as I open it back up, see, hey, here's Rico's hotspot. We can easily go there. Here's our content. Now, with every standard user, they're going to be able to rate, favorite, flag down what they want, and go about it that way. They can even save some of the searches that they have here. But they can also see some of the different comments, see how many times it's been downloaded roughly a little bit, and if there's any extra attachments to that file piece itself. So we have that capability there. Now, things real fast here. This is going to control what's going on, what we see, what users can see, and different things like that. Starting out, we see we have a folder path to where if we pull in stuff from other projects, this is where we can find it. If we pull in any cache data, this is where it's going to be. We can immediately have it set it to delete logs from older than 30 days, and same with content. Now, more in depth, we can even have an admin share library, if they so choose to, from when we had that set up that admin earlier on, or we can take that away. We can enable who uploads content and where they can upload it from. Can the user download the content? Can they prefer the cloud option more? Just based upon how they want to operate it and what's easier. If they're a remote user and they just need to download it and have it there because it's faster, or hey, these people can easily download it or pull it straight from the cloud when we're in the office. So we have those options. We can auto filter by current Revit version when using the Revit add-in. So we can filter down to say, hey, only show this Revit version for what project I'm in or what Revit version I'm currently running in. Some of the other stuff we have is we can let users install the updates. When Hive has an update, it immediately pops up as soon as you click on Hive. It says, hey, there's an update out. Would you like to update? Yes or no? Roughly, most people go with no because it's okay to do about 1 or 2 versions back, but we try not to recommend that. We want the most up-to-date version so we don't get those bugs and those issues. So we usually leave this part checked. Now, do we want to let users comment on content? That varies from company to company, but I suggest we do it. We can at least see what's going on. We can at least see, hey, this is what our users think. This is what they go about it. We also want to let them allow rating to know, hey, which content is actually bad? What do we not need? What can we get rid of? Do we want to allow a user to tag content, say, hey, this is where it's technically here. This is what it's technically supposed to be, and allow us to define more of what is going on. So these are just options that we can have and choose. And do we want users to report, feature requests and bug reports? Do we want that do we want to give that to the user, or should we just let the BIM manager or the CAD manager or just the manager in general handle that specifically? So that's all up to how we want to perceive it. How much control do we want our users to have? As we go into user settings, this is every standard that every new user will see popping up immediately. So whenever we add a new user, this will start out. If I click on my name, this is what my personal is. I can see who I am. I can change my password easily, and I can change my personal settings right here. But in company admin, this is just to start out a user. With details, this is where any company admin can say, hey, this is who owns or who is basically running the Hive itself. What domain are we running under? Where is our main headquarters or our main asset of Hive running at? What phone numbers can I get in contact with that person, or if I need to send something out? I can even know when it was, when Hive was at it and when it was last updated to, the general of Hive itself. And then licensing. This is where we specifically know when our license is going to be up, when we started and when we ended, of how long we know what it's going to be. So this will give us more information on it. Now looking into our content itself, say we already have content uploaded, already in and ready to go. We already have it in specific libraries and specific tags. We can easily see what we have and what we don't have. All we have to do is just go in, see what's going on, and look at it. As you can see here, like I talked about earlier, I have images in here. I have different Revit stuff in here as well, from families to templates to annotations to different things like that. I even have a coworker who 3D imaged himself and put it in here just to test it in Hive. There is so much capability that we have here. And I even have a Word document as well. Now, I can specifically update all this stuff. But the first thing we got to know is if I change something or a piece of content in a local drive, is that going to update Hive immediately? No, it's not. It's going to have that last saved update or upload. And it's amazing to have that. The reason why I tell people it's so amazing to have that is because we all know that one user that messes with some piece of content and it breaks everything. It just shatters it all. And then it takes forever just to get it back to where it was. So luckily, this is our safe haven. This is our backup plan. And what's even special is if we go in and update and trying to tinker with a different family and make sure it's ready to go for the next version or next year that's coming out, we're still safe with Hive having that backup situation. Now, for me to update, I have to immediately select the piece of content that I'm updating, click update, and go from there. Now, if I want to delete any content out of here, I have two options here. I can easily delete it only from Hive, or I can delete that local network from where it was as well. I have those two options here. And if I delete those just from Hive or from the other side as well, it's immediately going to show up in deleted content here, as I already have one right now. Now, I can easily restore that to where it was, or I can just get rid of it all. I can get rid of it, not have to deal anything with it, and just move on from it. I have those two options. So this is kind of even a more advanced fail-safe that we have, that we can look at. Now, with all that content that we have, we all know we need to make sure it's all managed and go through it that way. So we have these request forms that our users can fill out. From the start, we can see what our requests are. When we click request, we can specifically pull out which library. We can even put in a specific subject of needing new material for chairs. We can even put in more detail of needing wood chairs for desks and go in it that way. We can even label its priority, like this is a high priority. I kind of need this now. I'm on a deadline. I have less than 24 hours to get this done. I need specific tags of what needs to be in there. Or I don't have to put that at all. And I can even have files in here of, a specific image or folder set or manufacturer information that I have that can really help us out, and I can send in the request. As soon as I send that request in, it's immediately right here. I can see, hey, it's pending. I can see the details, when I requested it, and when it was updated last by. Now, on our managerial side, the side that we have more information on. As you can see from needing right here, the owner, it's not shown. It's still pending. We can easily change that. We can update its status already from here, or we can assign it to a specific user. We can easily go about it that way. So for instance, if I wanted to submit it to Omar here, I can and go about it, and it's his priority, it's his business to take care of and to look at and to go over. It's that option easily, and they can go into the details, say, hey, what's going on with it? It's in progress, and we'll get it done. Or, hey, we really don't need this. Let's go ahead and reject it. And it will let the user know. It will let them update and give that information. I will send them an email and let them know, hey, this is what's going on here. So we have that capability. I'll get into the search and discover a little bit more on the Revit side. And so let's go ahead and open that up. I'm going to go ahead and close Windows. I already have Revit open. I'm going to go ahead and open up one of my project files already that I have. One second here, folks. I guess my previous project wasn't up when I had it uploaded. So let's go ahead and upload the sample project right now for the time being and get this uploaded and going. So we can use not only MEP side, but also on other content as well. Also, if you do have questions, go ahead and message me directly and we can get those answered towards the end. And if it's something urgent, we can get that done immediately. So going about it this way. Now I'm going to go ahead, open up the level 1 plan. And move on here. Now, Hive is immediately located in the CTC Software tab, or it's on sometimes labeled under the CTC Express tools, just as listed. And it's easily under the CTC Hive suite and then Hive itself. So immediately as we open up, you'll notice there will be a couple different things coming to it. Starting off with active project. And as you scroll down here, we have a list of Revit categories, which is a nice safe place for all of our information to be had right here at our disposal. Alrighty. Now, if I just want to show immediately from Revit categories that, you know how we added that content in earlier, it'll immediately show what Revit version it's in and any previous, because we all know we can't be in 2019 and pull something from 2020. Revit doesn't work that way. We can only work backwards to where pull 2018 forward. That's just every standard. So we have what we can see here. Now, go ahead and get rid of all that. Active projects. All of our users can see, hey, this is what's going on in our active projects. This is where we can see everything, look at everything, and go about it that way. But what if our users say, hey, this family is working completely amazing. It's doing great. We can easily utilize this in other projects and go about it that way. We can still add that to ourselves. We don't have to save it out and go to the family and do all that extra work. We can easily go to add content and click on project here. This will allow us to see what's currently in all of our projects or that are open currently. So we can easily go down, search for that specific piece of family, and go about it that way. So for instance, I like this regular duct, this round duct, and this oval duct. All right, I want to save it into a specific library. Let's go to the Rico's hotspot here. Let's add some tags to it. Well, what kind of tags should we add to it? Well, there's some mechanical and MEPPP. What if it's metal as well? We can also click on that and go about it that way. And we can just click OK, and it's already there. And immediately when I click process, what it's doing now is it's saving to that C drive in the Hive area, as I showed earlier, of where all that data is from that little link in our company admin standards. And it's also pulling it immediately into that library itself. So when we go in, select it, it's immediately right there. These three pieces are right here. Now, question for you, where's our content? Where's the other content we uploaded? It's only showing Revit. The reason why is because we only have the Revit content clicked. We want to at least let our users know if we're going to use outside sources, not only from Revit, but from other areas, we need to make sure this is unchecked and then click apply again so we can see all of our other stuff, whether it be the template or other images or details that we need to bring in for us to be able to get this project done. So we can easily do that and go about it that way. And we can still edit our content here. We can still even go to users and groups and go about it that way and edit our tags and still do everything in Revit or what that we can. So these are two options to help and really manage how we go about it. Now, in more depth specifically, I want to iterate very loud and proudly that when we create our libraries, when we go in depth and more into it and setting everything up, have a general statement of it, of MEP or sales or marketing or different things like that, because we want to be able to make it simple for our users. And when we go in more depth of our tags, we want to make it simple because if they can't necessarily find it, it's not going to help. It's not going to be good. If we can't make it better, then what's the point of using it? So we really want to have that advantage for all of our users that no matter how they set it up or how they look at it, they still can get to it immediately without having to come to us constantly, because we also have other work that we need to get done as well. So just to reiterate, just to go by, that's what we have. Now, I saved the about for last because this is where it can help out to say, hey, I'm in a meeting, I can't really help. If you need something of more in depth, we can look at it to where we have that user guide. What happened in this release notes that we know, hey, this is what's going on. We can even look at videos to say, here's a small little tad bit video. Everyone go watch this. I'll send out an email on some stuff, get your feedback and go from there. And this is where all users can request features and report bugs as well. So going back to the overall of just our presentation itself right now here. Remembering we want to remember that Hive doesn't always hold Revit content. It holds more. It has a wide variety. As I showed, it has that capability. Don't only specifically have it for your discipline or for your area. If you want to make it company-wide for everyone to have that ability to have access in one source no matter where they are, say if marketing they want to see that project, they want to get all those cool images and renderings and make it all pretty for our website and things like that, we can do that. We have that capability. We have all of that. Another thing is when we have Revit content, make sure to do it, upload that content through Revit. We want to make it as best as we can. We want to have it as little errors as possible because we know it's coming straight from the source. We don't want to, for instance, upload a central model to Revit and to Hive and it just completely mess everything up. So we want to make sure we're getting the right data that we need from Revit itself so we know, hey, this is coming straight from here. But we also know that other content outside of Revit, we can easily pull in not only from the Windows version, but from both versions. Alrighty. And last but not least, make sure it's simple for your users. Make it simple for everyone to use. We don't want such complicated things. Now, being the end of that, is there any questions that anyone has for me? Anything they would like to go over, kind of go more in depth? I am more than happy to answer. My name is also Zachery Rico. I am a technical specialist here at ATG USA, and I do thank you all for being here with me today.